It's time to hustle. Houston raps back and professionalizes its hip-hop culture. 1986 to 91, Texas is centrally located in one of the biggest hip-hop markets. There are tons of local groups here, and I think acts like the Ghetto Boys, Jazzy Red, or R.P. Cola are competitive with New York and Philly but don't have the national exposure. Hey, New York is where it was born, but the rest of the country has something to contribute. Steve Fournier, 1988. In 2007, Brooklyn, New York native Talib Kweli joined forces with Port Arthur, Texas's UGK on the rap song Country Cousins to juxtapose the early development of hip-hop from two places, New York and Houston. In a broad sense, Talib and UGK argued that hip-hop culture from all over was connected through collective urban experiences and through the aesthetic expression of these experiences. In a narrow sense, each artist used the musical bars to explain how they came to participate in hip-hop culture. Yet it was Bumby's verse that poetically summarized how artists from Houston and surrounding areas accepted and participated in old-school hip-hop culture by way of New York and later Los Angeles and Compton, but also how they began to appropriate and contribute to the culture. Growing up in PA, I knew nobody out there talked like us, nothing but that county slang. What up, dog? What up, cuz? Late night you see us guzzling 40s, menthols, wine and weed, sitting on the back porch, getting zooped. Feeling fine indeed, listening to Eric B. and Rakim, or EPMD Cool C and Steady B, plus that Public Enemy, not to mention NWA, DJ Quick and MC8 down south. We listened to it all. We didn't discriminate. Then along came Ghetto Boys, Raheem, and the Royal Flush Rap-A-Lot Records based out in Houston represents for us OG style. The Convicts, Death 4 and Too Much Trouble Odd Squad, and Gangsta Nip put it down for H-Town on the double. So I said, it's time to hustle. Got down with my brother C, put together UGK, and shit. The rest is history. We make hits by the dozen. Put it down when they said we wasn't, trust me. It's nothing, just another day in the life of Country Cousins. Bundy's lyrical explication is the story of many Houston hip-hoppers coming of age in the early to mid-1980s. Those who became fans of hip-hop culture participated through Houston's various systems of support and soon transitioned from dilettantes to professionals. Stories like his offer an exceptional prologue to explain how Houston's hip-hop community transitioned from supporters and participators to appropriators. The years 1985 and 1986 were important ones for the professionalization of Houston's hip-hop culture. Most Houston hip-hoppers consider these years as the period when the first Houston rappers put their amateur skills on wax for local and regional consumption. 3 singles, McGregor Park, Rockin' It, and Car Freak came out in that time, and these singles are regarded as Houston firsts. In the 1980s, many black families congregated on weekends at one of 2 local parks, Dewson Park in Northeast Houston and McGregor Park in South Houston. These 2 parks were the host sites for picnics, barbecues, pickup basketball games, juvenile fun, quality family time, and sometimes fights and pistol play. Additionally, these parks were the sites of impromptu car shows and parking, lot pimping. Many young men slowly drove their upgraded old school cars through the park lanes, showing off their pimped outrides. These improvements were usually in the form of lowered frames, lowriders, hydraulics, high gloss paint jobs, new rims or white wall tires, reupholstered interiors, and sound systems that made the trunk rattle because of the intense bass. If not an upgraded car, there were also guys riding through lanes showing off a new car or truck. The ride, and all of its embellishments personified grandiloquence. The car was a status symbol. Moreover, men used the cars to impress friends and attract women, and women viewed the man's car as a form of financial security. This experience became the content for what is considered the first rap single from Houston, McGregor Park. Luscious Ice recalled, "All it talked about was this cat hanging out at the park, my car, my freaking me." McGregor Park. That's where everybody was going on Sunday. I don't care what part of Houston you lived in. McGregor Park was the hot park in Houston for a long time. The chorus of McGregor Park alone served as an ode to the good times and happenings at the park. McGregor Park is where I got to be McGregor Park. My car, my freak, and me McGregor Park. There ain't no time to waste McGregor Park, because on Sundays, it's the place y'all know. The artist of McGregor Park went by the name L.A. Rapper, and in his rap claimed to be a member of the Hollywood crew. The liner notes on the album gave credit to Robert Harlan for performing and writing the song. Production credit was given to Robert Hicks and Royce Glenn Smith too. Research on the studio's address suggests that the artist, Robert Harlan, and the producer, Robert Hicks, are the same person. The production of the single was reminiscent of the electro, funk, hop style popular in the early 1980s from Los Angeles artists Idachi. Egyptian lovers, I need a freaking look, Lisa's jam on it. It was fitting for the musical time, but aside from the content, it did not have a unique Houston sound. In the 4 verses of the song, the L.A. rapper explicitly represented his space and place. He highlighted Houston's car culture, chronicled the joys of hanging out at McGregor Park, displayed the timeless mistrust that urban youth have of police officers, announced and bragged about his posse, and discussed his taste for a particular type of woman. His rap placed him at the center of the world, with everything else revolving around him. McGregor Park told a story about a weekly hangout spot that hundreds of people were familiar with. It's a song about Houston from a Houston rapper that only Houstonians could understand. McGregor Park was distributed throughout Houston and played on KTSU Kids Jam, but nothing was heard of the LA rapper after this 1985 single. The next single within the triumvirate was Rockin' It, recorded by a group of teenagers who called themselves Real Chill. Real Chill members K, Reno, Timothy Hood, GT, and James Connor, Preppy J, were South Park residents and Sterling High School students. Rockin' It also had an electro-hop sound, but its content was reminiscent of Run DMC Sucker MCS. K, Reno, GT, and Preppy J traded lyrics between bars, boasting about their lyrical dexterity, their skillful ability to rock a mic. Rockin' It did not garner many record sales, but according to K. Reno, it was played on Kids Jam and allowed the group to travel around the country to perform while they were still in high school. Rockin' It was the first and last venture for Real Chill. Within the next 2 years, K. Reno continued to hone his skills through battle rapping. One such battle rap occurred one afternoon at a neutral location known as the Battleground, a parking lot at MLK and Belfort, against another notorious rapper from South Park, Gangsta NIP, that resulted in a draw, described Lance Scott Walker. But this same contest brought about the merger of 2 rap posses, forming one of Houston's first rap cliques, the South Park Coalition. Car Freaks was the last of this group of firsts. It was a sophomoric song that rapped about women who were interested in guys only because of their cars. In it, the Ghetto Boys boasted about their ride and the beautiful dame who rode in their car only to realize that she was in the car for superficial desires. Thus, the girl was labeled a car freak because she fulfilled her obsession for status by riding with any guy who had nice wheels. Of the first 3 hip-hop albums created from Houston artists, Car Freaks held the greatest significance not because the song was aesthetically superior to its predecessors, but because it set the stage for Houston's version of the Sugar Hill Gang, the Ghetto Boys, then the Ghetto Boys, and for the reign of Houston's Rap-A-Lot Records. James Smith founded Rap-A-Lot in 1986 as a result of an agreement he made with 2 teenagers, Keith Rogers and Oscar Series. Rogers and Series constantly skipped school to hone their rapping skills by visiting other schools and neighborhoods to challenge any willing contender. In a bold effort to professionalize their amateur act, they pursued Smith as a financier. Smith promised them that he would finance an album for them if they became good students. Accepting his challenge, upon completion of their homework, the duo met Prince daily at the home of Prince's mother. They eventually teamed with Smith's stepbrother, Thelton Polk, K9 Sir Rap-A-Lot, to form the original Ghetto Boys. Soon afterward, Smith found himself getting deeper and deeper in the music business. Much of Smith's life prior to the incorporation of Rap-A-Lot is unknown. Like Don Roby before him, Smith was raised in Houston's 5th Ward, the eldest of 5 children. He came up watching his mother work hard to provide for the family, and he also witnessed much of the squalor and violence that earned the 5th Ward the moniker the Bloody Nickel. It was his mother's struggles and the dark realities of the 5th Ward that inspired him to find a way to get out and make money. He began working at 8 years old, and after graduating from high school, he worked as a bank teller and insurance clerk. All the while, Smith held a vision of something better for himself and his family. After being laid off from his insurance position, he took a job as a car dealer. He quickly noticed he had a way with people. They trusted him, opened up to him, and Smith found success. Since his life before Rap-A-Lot is undocumented, it is not clear how Smith financed the startup label and its production activity. However, over Smith's lifetime in the entertainment industry, numerous allegations have linked Smith to drug trafficking and other acts of criminal vice, suggesting that these activities funded Rap-A-Lot early efforts. Despite these unsubstantiated claims, Smith is lauded by many entertainers, politicians, and community leaders for his numerous acts of community service and charity in the Houston area, and for his pioneering efforts to make Houston a hip-hop city. A few other details about Smith and Rap-A-Lot remain unknown. Somewhere between the company's founding and its early 1990s success, Smith began going by the name of James Prince. It is not clear what prompted this name change, but it is known that Prince was the last name of his father, Ernest Prince III. Also, there are claims that veteran entertainment promoter Daryl Oliver Coutu founded Rap-A-Lot, yet no official report has ever substantiated this claim. Oliver was listed as the producer on the liner notes of Car Freaks, and was also listed on promotion material as a contact person for booking. Most records give credit to Cliff Blodgett, a white computer software engineer from Seattle, as being a co-founder of Rap-A-Lot. However, the details of how this came about are unknown. What is revealed through the research is that the efforts of Thelton Polk, Keith Rogers, and Oscar Series played a huge role in Rap-A-Lot's founding and its initial success. Felton Polk, the stepbrother of James Smith, grew up in Houston's Fifth Ward in Trinity Gardens. Like other young people in the early 1980s, Polk began rapping because he was influenced by what he saw and heard coming out of New York. While a student at M.B. Smiley High School, he competed and performed in talent shows with Lester Pace. Not long after being exposed to hip-hop and battling at his high school, Polk began to seriously pursue rap as a viable career. In 1981, Polk performed at Houston School Jazz Festival, held at Emancipation Park in the 3rd Ward and presented by skipper Lee Frazier. Felton received an award for his great performance at the festival. The next year, he and his group, the CC Gang, signed a 1-year recording contract with the Houston Connection Recording Corporation, run by Harvey Lynch. The Houston Connection Recording Corporation was also the home of the Houston Funk Quartet Glass, featuring John Williams, Mickey Blow, who were trained under Conrad Johnson at Kashmir. According to Polk, the company closed before the release of their music. Polk next relocated to the Bay Area, where he recorded and performed with Bill Summers and band. Polk was a rapper and break dancer with the group. He claimed that while working with the band, he learned valuable studio and recording techniques, and that in 1984 he performed at the Youths Against Drug Abuse rally at San Francisco State University before returning to Houston. Polk began battle rapping at Bay Area night spots and worked with Scott Roberts of the Freaky Executives band. Polk moved back to Houston in 1985 and began enhancing his rap skills by participating in contests at local night spots such as the Rhinestone Wrangler cartoons Gucci's, the Thunderdome, Flashes, and Super Skate. Polk was one of the best battle rappers in Houston at the time. When his brother decided to enter the rap industry, he chose Polk to join the first group and chose one of Polk's aliases, Sir Rap-A-Lot, as the name of the company. Oscar Cerise was an ambitious young rapper who often went to any lengths to show off his rhyming skills, even skipping school to battle a lyrical foe at another school. His fondness for rapping morphed into an obsession. One day, Cerise skipped school and hopped on the Houston Metro headed for Jack Yates with the intent to battle Prince Eazy-E. While there, he caught the attention of another student and rapper by the name of Keith Rogers. Rogers befriended Cerise, and their mutual interest led them to battle others and consider rapping as a viable profession. Keith Rogers shared the ambition of his new comrade. In the early 1980s, Rogers and 3 other classmates, Shannon, Kid Fresh, Boyd Lee Woodbury, Rappin' Lee, and John Williams, Diamond T, formed the group called the Awesome 3 and Jukebox. Rogers recalled that they went to great lengths to establish themselves in Houston. They caught the bus to other schools to make it in time for lunch. They were so dedicated that they created shirts that read the Awesome 3 and Jukebox, and as Rogers boasted, they knew what we was coming for. The Awesome 3 and Jukebox soon began to perform at college shows and other talent events. They were initially managed by the TSU chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, which helped them get gigs and brought them along to community service events. These young ladies brokered the opportunity for the Awesome 3 and Jukebox to open up for the SOS band at the TSU homecoming. In the audience that day was a con artist by the name of Brian, whose deception led Rogers and Cerise to James Smith. Rogers recalled the incident. "This guy Brian came to us with a briefcase and this and that. His credentials was tight, at least they looked tight to a little 14-year-old kid, and it looked like he had his act together. And my thing was Run DMC. I'm trying to get on TV. I want to be like LL Cool J. But what he really wanted was to use us to get to the money. James Smith had the money. So he took us to meet Prince, Smith at the time, and from what I understand, Prince gave him a few $1,000s and we never saw him again. This hoax did not deter Rogers. He was so hungry that he never stopped going to the Fifth Ward. The other members of the group began to pursue other interests, but Rogers was determined to become a rapper. He walked and caught the bus frequently to the Fifth Ward to convince James Smith to make him an album. One day, he brought his new buddy Oscar Series with him, and this meeting changed the trajectory of both of their lives. Series recalled, Box called me and let me know that some individuals were interested in doing some music. So, he said, meet me on Delia, which was in Fifth Ward, and I caught the bus out there. And when I caught the bus out there, I rapped for these individuals, and they liked how I sounded, so they introduced us to James Smith. And from that point forward, the rest was history. Rogers' recollection of the incident was similar. He claimed, a few times, Prince tried to run me off, but I brought Raheem, Oscar Series, with me one day. I was beatboxing and Raheem was rapping. It was like on Crush Groove when LL busted through the door. Well, we busted through it and I'm beatboxing and Raheem's rapping. And then he looked at us and said, y'all got a deal. Rogers continued to profess, I am the original ghetto boy because I'm the one who inspired James Smith to invest his money in the music business. I believe he was going to go another direction with his money. So when I came along, he told me, man, if you go to school and do what you're supposed to do, I'll make you a record. I went to school and we made a record, and here we are today. In 1985, Sir Jukebox and Raheem were paired with K9 Sir Rap a Lot to form the group Ghetto Boys. Raheem initially proposed another group name, the Hip Hop Vigilantes, but K9 suggested Ghetto Boys, and his stepbrother James Smith agreed. In 1986, the Ghetto Boys wrote and recorded Car Freaks. The Ghetto Boys' initial offering was played on Kids Jam and in local clubs, and it allowed the group to perform at local and regional concerts. But within the next 3 years, the group began to face challenges. Raheem decided to become a solo artist after he became disillusioned with the direction of the group. In 1987, K9 Sir Rap a Lot went to jail for burglary, and within a year of his release, he decided to pursue a solo career. The only remaining member was Jukebox, but that did not mean the end of the Ghetto Boys or their label home, Rap a Lot. For the next 5 years, with few exceptions, hip-hop production from Houston came exclusively out of Rap a Lot. Somewhere in between the release of Car Freaks and the Ghetto Boys' first album, Making Trouble, Prince moved the company to New York. There, he learned more about the industry from the likes of Lear Cohen of Def Jam Records. Cohen inspired him by showing off the royalty checks he'd received from LL Cool J and Jazzy Jeff in the Fresh Prince's works. Prince grew impatient, however, and moved the company home. Prince also found it difficult to gain the respect of music executives who did not believe that anything good could come from the South. But Prince, accustomed to being underestimated and marginalized, took this as motivation and soon began to establish an independent precedent for the hip-hop industry, especially Southern hip-hoppers. The 2 years after the company's founding was a time of experimentation and imitation. The second single was not characteristically rap-a-lot, as it was ungangsta and lacked the ghetto stories commonly featured on future albums. Similar to Car Freaks, this new single focused on a woman, but instead of relegating the female character to the status of a freak, this time, she was the object of sexual desire. The single, entitled Sexy Girls, was written by club promoter and MC Captain Jack and singer-slash-songwriter Mickey Blow. In 1984, Captain Jack released his debut album, Jack It Up, through Houston's Grand Records, owned by Charles Bush. Within a few months, Jack It Up was subsequently released by Ola Records in Los Angeles. Sexy Girls was the last recording that Captain Jack put out. In that same year, 1987, the Ghetto Boys began to make a name for themselves by performing at shows in and out of town, continuing to battle rap around Houston, and even recording a commercial for the Houston Metro. Raheem claimed that their street cred increased once they began working with Prince, because people on the street respected Prince. They were able to perform in a concert with LL Cool J at Del Mar Stadium, and they also performed at venues in Los Angeles. Although the group was beginning to make waves, Raheem became disillusioned. His frustrations really began with Car Freaks and increased during the first year of the group. By the time the group began working on their debut album, Making Trouble, Raheem had hesitations about moving forward with the group. He did not particularly like the practice demands or the direction that management wanted to take the group. He felt stifled. As a result, he became a solo artist. In the process of these happenings, and within the first 2 years of the label's operation, 2 additional groups were signed. Collins Lysath, DJ Ready Red from Trenton, New Jersey, originally wanted to be a professional football player. But after visiting family in Brooklyn and going to parties in the Bronx in the late 1970s, Red fell in love with hip-hop. He began DJing in Trenton in the early 1980s, taking on the name Grand Wizard DJ Ready Red. Red had a regular gig at the Capitol Roller Rink with the Def City crew, which also featured DJ Mix Kid and DJ Rock the House Shock. He soon joined forces with Prince Johnny C, Jonathan Carmichael, and Brother Ray D, Eddie Moses, to form the rap group The Mighty MCS. Not only did Red DJ form the group, but he also began to experiment with production. In 1987, Red came to Houston to help his sister leave a bad relationship. Red planned to stay in Houston to get his sister away from her domestic issues before transitioning to California. During his first month in Houston, January, he began to check out the local hip-hop scene at places such as the Rhinestone Wrangler. There, he hooked up with another group of out-of-town hip-hoppers who went by the name the Casanova Crew. The Casanova Crew was a collection of DJs and MCs who had each moved to Houston for college or better economic opportunities. The crew originally included members Viciously, Brooklyn, Easy, C, Brooklyn, DJ John B, Brooklyn, and DJ Lonnie Mac Chicago. Once they met Red and learned of his skills, they adopted him into the crew. In quick time, the group changed its name to Dep 4 and began recording a demo to pursue a record deal. 202 one night, Red participated in a DJ contest at the Rhinestone Wrangler that attracted the attention of 2 Rap-A-Lot affiliates, NC Trihan and Sir Jukebox. NC Trihan introduced Red to Prince at the new Rap-A-Lot office on North Shepherd in the Heights. Prince loved the Def 4 demo, but he really loved the production and instrumentation created by Red. Prince signed Def 4 and brought on Red as the DJ for the Ghetto Boys. The next group signed was Royal Flush. Royal Flush was led by Ricardo Royal, a brash young man who came to Houston to escape the consequences of juvenile crimes. Royal was originally from Atlantic City, New Jersey, but in 1976, his mother decided to move the family to Los Angeles to start over after a failed relationship with Royal's father. Los Angeles, particularly South Central Los Angeles, was a culture shock for Royal because of the prevalent gang culture. Along with his mother and brother, he moved into a neighborhood adjacent to the black middle-class suburb known as Baldwin Hills. This same neighborhood, nicknamed the Jungle, was also controlled by the Blood Street gang. In South Central, Royal tried to avoid the lure of gang life by playing football and breakdancing. But he was soon drawn in after the murder of one of his friends by the Crip Street gang. Royal immediately joined the Bloods, seeking protection and to avenge his friend's death. As a result, he became involved in various criminal acts, including trespassing, assault, and attempted murder. Royal's mother also found trouble, as she was discovered working as a vocational nurse in Los Angeles under someone else's license. Therefore, in 1981, Royal's family moved to Houston seeking to start over again. Royal arrived in Houston with hip-hop already in his veins. In Atlantic City and Los Angeles, he had been a breakdancer, and while an elementary student in Atlantic City, he had heard early hip-hop mixtapes from New York. After moving back to Atlantic City for 1 year, Royal settled at Aldine Senior High School on Houston's north side. Though he initially did not want to rap, he began to battle rap as a way to dominate and quiet foes. He recalled that his raps were never in the form of braggadocio, like much of the rap of that time. His were more vicious and gangster, with the intent to elicit fear. He claimed that he patterned his style after Jimmy Spicer. At Aldine, Royal joined a collective of battle rappers who wanted to become professionals. The group chose the name Royal Flush, and they soon began competing in talent shows and at local night spots such as the Rainbow Skating Rink, Flashes, and the Rhinestone Wrangler. The original group included Tim Johnson, Tricky T, Donald Stewart, Cowboy, Greg Taylor Class C, Ernest Polk, Sergio Magnifico, and Ricardo Royal Gangsta Rick.